Hey guys, what's up? Since my Chessable book, Butcher with the Bishop's Opening, it's on sale, I just want to show you one very short variation. It's called Copycat Variation, and Copycat Variation is very common in practice on all kinds of levels. It's very interesting. It's almost lost for black. It happens already after 3 moves. And even Mamajarov won in Pro Chess League one of his games very easily against a random IM. So it's quite interesting variation. And let me just show you how does it happen and appear on the board. After e4, e5, you know how much all you like my bishop c4 move and the bishop's opening. I remember ever since I published out my first video about this one, you liked it so much, and that was one of the, I would say, engines just to make the Chessable book about the bishop's opening that I really have to say, since it's Black Friday, it's going fantastic. So after you play bishop c4, they just go knight c6. You know that they have like two kinds of moves, knight f6, which is called Berlin defense, or knight c6, which goes usually into the Vienna hybrid variation. When they go knight c6, you just go knight c3. So it's a normal Vienna setup. You just want to go with d3 followed by f4. And now, for some reason, all these guys think, let's just go with the bishop c5, and it's so similar to classic Giuco piano or Italian opening. But it's not. That's exactly the point. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to play move that almost kills the variation on the spot. Queen g4. Of course that I gave this move, gave text, PGN analysis, even videos about the queen g4, and you can see more about this on Chessable thing. But the thing here that I'm going to explain you about the copycat variation is how this queen g4 works in practice. So when you play queen g4, you just threaten to take on g7. They have to defend it. The most common defense in the practice is g6, but g6 absolutely doesn't seem to be working. At the moment, they threaten d5, so be very careful about this, because these are so-called very, very tiny and very hidden threats by black. So they defend one threat, and all of a sudden they threaten d5 to win either the bishop or the queen on g4. So you just have to bring your queen move back on f3 and to threaten f7, and your position looks so much better. Instead of that, they can play king f8. Once again, they're threatening to play d5, threatening the queen on g4 and the bishop on c4, and you gotta put your queen back on f3, threatening on f7. Afterwards, you can find and just like I told you in the Chessable part of the PGN and the video course, you can find much more about these lines, but these are just bad lines and variations for black, and you just have to remember couple moves more in order to get not decent, but almost winning advantage. But in this one, I'm going to show you one of the most characteristic way of defending the g7 pawn, especially in faster time controls and in blitz. They all go for queen f6 because they all want to be tricky and pretty much aggressive and active. They defend on g7 as well as threatening on f2. The real thing is coming now. You jump with the knight on d5, threatening queen on f6 and threatening pawn on c7. So what are you going to do? They just go with queen f2 like, oh my goodness, my white opponent is complete patzer. He probably forgot about the f2 pawn. Well, did we? Of course we didn't. We put the king on d1, and all of a sudden, your opponent realize that you threaten knight c7, queen g7, and knight h3, followed by rook f1. They gotta go with the king f8, because king f8 removes the king from knight c7 check, and from fork, defends the pawn on g7, and kinda looks okay because he defends on g7, but at the same time, this king looks terrible because it's in the middle of the board. So what do you play? You play knight h3 and say, hey man, move that queen away, otherwise I'm gonna win it the next move. The only way to move the queen is on d4. And now you play d3. And by defending this bishop on d4, believe it or not, we're just threatening to play c3. The most, once again, characteristic way of trying to defend this in blitz is almost automatic reaction by most of these black players. They all go for d6. They say, okay, you're threatening c3. I can't move my queen on f2 because there's a knight. But let me move that knight, and I'm gonna even do that with tempo. So they go d6. You say, okay, no big deal. I gotta move my queen back. And they say bishop h3. Da-da-da-da. I'm about to move my queen on f2. Sorry, baby, but your bishop's opening didn't work. What did you say? It didn't work? Let me show you, sweetheart. Rook goes on f1, and all of a sudden, you prevent queen f2. And not just that, you threaten to win this bishop. And on top of all that, when they move the bishop, and by the way, they can play anything they like, you just go with c3, trap the queen, and win the game. Do you know what's the worst part? This happened in correspondence game once. This happened in 2 blitz games of mine. And this happened in almost 80, not almost, actually after this d6 queen g3, happened in 87 tournament games in the chess base. So I wish you the best of luck with this variation. Especially pay attention on the 10th move rook f1 followed by c3. And wish you the best of luck. Also, purchase the book on Chessable and enjoy the bishop's opening. Thank you so much.